Lilies are among the easiest plants to grow in your garden, and they come in an incredible variety of colors. Join us today as I show you how we plant our lilies. Hi, I'm Gardener Scott, and this is a collection of beautiful Asiatic lilies that I actually got on clearance. You'll often find plants like this at your nursery or garden center towards the end of the season. These plants are beginning to fade in the eyes of the manager at the garden center, but they're ideal for me to put in my garden now. Summer is just around the corner, and yes, these shouldn't normally be flowering for another month or so, but I can still get them in the ground now and get them established to give me some quick color, but more importantly, to become a staple in my garden for next year and many more years to come. Many gardeners will typically plant lilies from bulbs in early spring or in late fall. That gives an opportunity to order some unique varieties and get them in the ground to flower the following year. But often, in late spring, you'll be able to find potted lilies that you can put in the ground and have color in the same year. Asiatic lilies like these and Oriental lilies are quite cold hardy, and you'll find them in many gardens. You do have to be careful about your Easter lilies. While you can plant your Easter lily, it might not survive your winter, so be sure to check your zone requirements of the lilies that you're planting. Lilies can grow in a wide variety of soils, but most critically, depending on your soil type, it should be well draining. To prepare this area, I went ahead and added some compost and dug it to aerate the soil and prepare it for the plants that we're going to go in. Now, I got these plants on clearance last week. I did spend some time acclimating them to this garden spot, hardening them off. Even though they came from a garden center that was partially outside, I wanted to make sure that I gradually expose them to the sunny conditions that they're going to see in this spot, because lilies need sun. For the best flowering potential, you want to put your lilies in a spot where they can get 6 to 8 hours of direct sun each day. Now, if you live in an area like I do that gets very hot summers, you might also try to find a location that gives afternoon shade. That's why I'm putting them in this spot, because it gets morning sun, early afternoon sun, and then as the sun moves, this wall provides shade during those critical, hottest moments of the day. That will help protect these plants and keep them growing at their prime. As with most container plants that you're going to transplant into your garden, try to do it during a time that isn't that peak heat point. The clouds are starting to come over right now. It's getting a little bit shady. This is ideal. And this wall is just about to give me the shade I'm looking for. So I can put these plants in the ground. They're going to get transplant shock. They're going to be a little stressed, but the sun is not going to be part of that stress. I'm trying to make it as easy on these plants as possible. I took a little bit of time grouping them where I think the colors will blend. I'm doing a block planting of these lilies, trying to keep them relatively close together. If you plant by bulb, you're going to put the bulb about 3 times the height of the bulb into the soil, and you'll probably put your bulbs about 12 to 15 inches apart. Well, these plants are a little bit bigger, but I'll still follow that basic guideline, putting the plants about 15, maybe 18 inches apart, anticipating that they're going to be spreading over the next couple years, and I'll have the opportunity to divide some of these plants and maybe move them to other areas. The planting is pretty straightforward. I'm going to dig the hole that they'll be going into. I love seeing earthworms as I do this, pulling out any roots or weeds I happen to come across. And then I'm going to remove the plant from this pot. Give it a little bit of squeeze to help it release easier. I'm going to take a look at these roots. Doesn't look like they're root bound or circling the pot. I'll still loosen them up a little bit. And then I want to put it into the hole at the same height it was growing in the container. So a little bit more to dig out. Put it in the hole. That level looks pretty good. Now I'll fill in around the plant. I want to make sure I try to get the soil down all the way to the bottom where those roots are. And Lika's here to help. You can see that this goes pretty quickly. So I'll come over about 15 inches or so, dig another hole, try to get the depth that I'm looking for, pulling out weeds and roots. Squeeze the pot, release it. Now these do have some circling roots, so I'll pry them apart very gently. Some of them are brown and soft, means too much water, so I just pull those off. The rest of these look pretty good. Put it into our hole. With Lika's help, we'll fill in around the edges. And now 2 of these are planted. I'll go ahead and move to the rest now. With all of these lilies in the ground, now I'm going to do something that might run a little counter to what you're used to. Now, I said these were clearance plants, and you can see that some of these stalks are broken. This is an easy decision at this point to go ahead and trim these lilies. I don't want this plant resting in the soil, so I took off the weight. I'll give these leaves a little bit more chance to develop some photosynthesis because I want these roots to develop at this point. I'll do the same with this plant. I'll take off the heavy tops and let some of the stem develop. These will go in the compost, of course. But this is the part that you might not normally do. It's a great idea to deadhead your lilies on a regular basis. As soon as these petals start to fall off, these blooms are getting pretty old, go ahead and deadhead. For an established plant, this is going to take some of the energy from the roots and put it into these flowers that have yet to open. The plant wants to send as much energy as it can to these flowers, to full maturity, so that seeds develop. It's all about propagation. I don't want that happening right now because I want as much energy as possible to go into the roots for that development. So this color looks great right now, but I only used this to give me an idea of where I was going to put these plants. Now I'm cutting back these flowers so that I can divert more energy to the roots. I am a little bit selfish. I do want some color, so I'm going to leave many of these buds in place, and they'll begin opening in probably a few days, maybe another week or two, and that's more the life cycle of the plants in my area. It's late May, and I shouldn't expect lilies normally to be flowering until June in my area. So I'm not really doing a terrible thing. I'm getting these plants used to my climate, but really, most importantly, I'm sending the energy to the roots so these can get established before the heat of summer arrives. Many gardeners will just go ahead and leave the flowers in place when they transplant like this, and then wonder why they have weak plants that maybe won't be able to survive their winter. Well, it's because you didn't get brutal. You didn't resist the temptation to have pretty colors. The next thing I'll do to help the plant is to spread some mulch. Now I use wood chip mulch in this whole area, and that's what these lilies are going to get. This is going to help keep the weeds down. It'll help moderate the soil temperature. It'll help keep the soil moisture a little more consistent. And all of that means that the roots are going to grow better. The last thing I'm going to do is water in these plants. I'm watering at the base of the plant. I started with that moist soil that I firmed around the roots. This will just help that soil level out a little bit. The water will sink down, and it'll help ensure that there's good contact between the soil and those roots. These lilies don't look as pretty as they did when I first started. But remember, I wasn't trying to get the instant gratification of that gorgeous color. I wanted to get these plants in the ground to become established throughout the rest of my growing season, and to get some of those roots growing, and to get a stronger plant before the intense heat and wind and dry conditions I get during summer. I'm looking forward to having some beautiful plants here, and you can see my timing worked out great. The sun is popping out a little bit, and this area is already almost completely shaded in the middle of the afternoon. If you want to see more about some of the plants that I've put into my garden, watch one of these videos next. I'm Gardener Scott. Enjoy gardening.